Mom, Dad, I just have to say, it breaks my heart watching you stress over dinner every night. This year, I don't want you doing the fridge stare down. Hot take. With the new Blue Apron, eating healthy is easy. They've got pre-made and one-pan meals with plenty of balanced nutrition. No subscription needed. You could be plating like a chef instead of negotiating with leftovers. Make it your healthy, tasty, and easy 2026 dinner resolution. Just saying.
Get 50% off your first 2 orders plus free shipping with code LISTEN50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Sports Social Podcast Network, the biggest voices in sport. Let's take a look at some of the lineup. Big Kick Energy.
When I was doing a Zoom gig and somebody got up and went and made a cup of tea and I just heard them go, not for me.
Late Breaking.
Verstappen has more sprint wins than Leclerc has regular wins.
Wisden Cricket Weekly.
Draw rounder.
Tough, really close between Stokes and Flintoff, but I went Stokes. The whole package, I think, beats Flintoff.
All on Europe's biggest sport podcast network. Find your next favourite sport podcast. Search Sports Social Podcast Network and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Verified comparison at content.sport-social.co.uk/comparison.
Hello everyone, it's Gav, and before we begin, I want to let you know that this episode of How Are the Podcast is sponsored by Live Score Bet, a proud principal partner of Sunderland FC. And if you're looking to get started, Live Score Bet have got a cracking welcome offer for new customers. All you have to do is bet £10 on sports and you get £30 in free bets. It's as simple as that. So, if you're ready to join the action, make sure you're doing it with Live Score Bet, the home of total betting. This offer is available to new members only, and you need to put £10 or more on a bet on sports within 14 days of opening your account. Free bets are valid for 7 days, £20 to use on Sportsbook, £10 on Bet Builder. T's and C's and deposit exclusions apply. Bet responsibly, over 18s only. And welcome to How Are the Podcast, sponsored by Live Score Bet. It's Gav, and you join us for our Matchday preview. Another game. Sunderland playing every other day at the minute, it seems. Away to Brentford this evening. The first time we've played at that ground, so it's a nice little trip for the fans heading to the game. But of course, it's another chance to try and pick up 3 points. And unlike the last game, we're playing against a team who are in half-decent form. They're picking up results, they're scoring goals, they're flying at the minute under Keith Andrews, and we'll be out for revenge against Sunderland after we turned them over at the Stadium of Light earlier in the season. So we've got to be on our guard. And joining me today to chat all about it is Andrew Smithson. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky game, this. Like you say, Brentford are doing well, but the games are coming thick and fast. And if there's one thing we like to do, it's talk about Sunderland, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. I'm certainly not daunted by this one, although they do sit one place above us in the table. They've got a better goal difference. That's the only reason, on the same points as us on 30. But if we're happy about the season so far, having picked up 30 points, you can guarantee that the Brentford fans are too, because they had a torrid summer. You'll remember when we were looking ahead to that game at the Stadium of Light, and all the talk was about the fact they'd lost Thomas Frank and they'd put the set-piece coach in charge. They'd lost their captain to Arsenal, I think. And Buemo, the best player, had gone to Man United. Visser signed for Newcastle. They lost the goalkeeper Flecken to Bayern Leverkusen. So all this change went on at Brentford in the summer. And I think the majority of people looked at Brentford and went, they're going to really struggle this year because that's just too much that they've lost. But hey, look at them, they're flying. You've got to give them credit. You've got to give that group of players credit. You've got to give the manager Keith Andrews credit. And some of the recruitment that they went out and did in the summer was brilliant, really. I know Jordan Henderson's been really important to them, who was linked to us in the summer. But it's been kind of much of a muchness, really. They've just carried on, Brentford, and they're the example to everybody, really, that for those mid-level and lower-level clubs, really, as far as it goes with the top of the Premier League, for a club who are really punching above their weight, they're an example to everybody on the Brentford that if you're going to succeed at Premier League level, you've got to just keep going on. You can't mope around. You can't put your head down when you lose the best players in your team and stuff. You just reinvest, you crack on, and you keep going. And they've been a fantastic example to us.
You're dead right. Their foundation and their structure means that they can withstand the loss of key figures we've seen it at so many clubs where one person's been, attracted by another club or another wage and gone elsewhere, and the whole setup has just fallen down around their ears. Whereas Brentford are really carefully put together and can afford some of those big names to move on. It is funny to think that in the summer, everybody at Sunderland was saying, well, for us to stay up, there's going to have to be one or two established Premier League clubs hitting bother and struggling. And Brentford, 9 times out of 10, were the club most people were pointing their finger at, because, like you say, they were losing such big players, they were losing their manager. So there we were all thinking, Brentford are ones we're going to have our fingers crossed. Hopefully they'll struggle. So if somebody had said to you now, well, in January they're above us in the league, you'd be thinking, that's a worry. But both of us have just dealt with this season fantastically well. And they've got no fears now. They've shown themselves to be adaptable, and so far so good from Keith Andrews. I think the fans quite like how he's got them playing. So Brentford fans must be in the same boat as us as the moment, Gav, and just happy with the way things are panning out.
It feels like ages since we played them, doesn't it? I've just looked there. It was 30th of August. So what's that? 4 and a bit months ago? I mean, it feels like a long time ago, and that was a tough game. I don't know if you remember how it kind of played out, but they had a goal ruled out by VAR, I think.
Yeah.
I think Roofs got dinked, if I remember rightly. That might have actually been the goal, but I remember Thiago scored their goal. They took the lead. We got a penalty. Enzo Lefebvre put that away. And then, obviously, as we do till the end, the ball goes in. I think it was Granit Xhaka put the ball in, and Wilson Isidore got in front of his man, headed it down, and it was 2-1 to Sunderland in the 96th minute. And, probably one of my favourite games of the season, actually, against Brentford. But just to remember, it was a tough game. It was a very, very tough game. And Thiago's made massive strides since then. Their striker, I think he's only second now behind Erling Haaland in the Premier League top scorers chart. He got a hat-trick the other day, so he's in a rich vein of form. 14 goals from 20 games, so they're doing what a lot of teams have struggled to do, Brentford, and they've got a striker who's putting the ball in the back of the net. 14 goals is commendable, isn't it? I mean, consider that we've actually only scored 21 as a club. 21 all season. He's got 14 on his own. So it's a nice luxury for them to have. He's clearly the danger man going into the game, isn't he? But like I say, they're in good form, and I don't know how much that really matters to us, to be honest, because we play teams who are woefully out of form, and they're still close games. We play teams who are really in good form, and they're close games. Every game seems to be a close game for us. That's just the way we play. We play on the edge, don't we?
We do, and I actually can't think of many games where you've walked away thinking, Sunderland were always going to lose that game because the opposition were just too good. Pretty much any game where we have lost, I think you could point at Sunderland maybe not being at the races, just trying to run through the few games where we have been defeated. So it doesn't necessarily matter that Brentford are in form. We certainly don't need to be worried about going against a team who are doing well. You make a good point about their striker there, because we're told a lot now, aren't we, that strikers in the Premier League will be lucky to get into double figures. So Brentford have broken that mould. And I do remember the game at the stadium. He scored a good header. I think it was maybe with about 10, 12 minutes to go. And I remember that feeling at the time of, this is what the Premier League's about now. Because prior to that, the game had been tight. I think Sunderland fans probably would have settled for a point. The goal was the offside goal was a really good breakaway from them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you're right, There was a question mark about whether Roofs maybe had his angles quite right, but we got away with it because it was a tight decision. And everybody's thinking, a point against a decent team will settle for this. So when they went 1-0 up, it was a reminder that you can't take anything for granted, and even the Midland clubs have that sucker punch. So the way we then fought back and not only took a draw but got a win was a real shot in the arm. I think fans perhaps took more encouragement from that than they had from West Ham a fortnight previously. So yeah, they are a quality side, but Gav, we're a quality side as well. So we don't need we need to be aware of their strengths, but we don't need to be fearful of them because we've shown that we can deal with it.
Yeah, they're unbeaten in a little while. Obviously, given their league position, that would ring true. You know, they've shot up the table a bit. Drew against Leeds mid-December. They did lose to Man City in the cup quarter-final in a couple of days after that, but in the league they're doing well. Beat Wolves 2-0, which is standard, really, apart from anyone called West Ham at the minute. Everyone's beaten Wolves. But stuck 4 past Bournemouth, which is an impressive result. I know Bournemouth are in poor form, but they did put them to the sword at their stadium. Got a point off Tottenham, and we know how tough Tottenham are. I mean, I know Spurs at home, poor record, but away from home, very good record, and Brentford managed to keep a clean sheet against them. And then, of course, stuck 4 past Everton at the new, is it the Hill Dickinson Stadium? Well, they're at the weekend. I should probably learn that. But managed to put 4 in the back of the net there and were pretty comfortable. I think Everton got their second goal in injury time when the game was all but finished. So, like I say, tough team to play against, but I don't think Régis Lebris really cares. I think he obviously he's very analytical and a deep thinker, and he will have watched loads of Brentford, and he will set us up to try and pick holes at their weaknesses. He does that with everyone we play. But he's a manager, isn't he, who just focuses on the positives and the strengths of his own team, and it'll be more about that than what they're doing. Yes, of course, that Thiago up front is a danger man, but we've got strong defenders. Dan Ballard will probably come back in, you would have thought, and we'll get on to team news in a bit. But Ballard is your man if you want to mark someone out of a game. Alderete and Mukiele are in brilliant form. We can't worry too much about Brentford. Rather than going, they've got a striker who's banging them in, we should be going, well, we've got defenders who are watertight at the minute.
Definitely. We're talking about defenders who are either internationals or have got really significant European experience. They're used to playing in pressurized games against strong teams. So they won't be too concerned about that side of things. I think their mentality has always been strong with regards to that type of thing. That's perhaps just as important as an important part of Lebris's makeup as a coach is his tactical awareness. I don't think he'll be talking to any of those players and making them feel as if they're 1 goal down already. You know, how many times in the past have you heard about sides who in the tunnel before setting foot on the pitch already feel as if they're 1-0 down because the opposition have been bigged up? There'll be none of that. The team are comfortable in their own ability and comfortable in their understanding of what's expected them. So I'm by no means saying we write Brentford or anybody off, but this is a Sunderland side who have got the psychological side of games under control as much as everything else. And if we lose to Brentford, it won't be because we have bottled it or beaten ourselves before the game started. It won't be for any reason like that, I don't think.
No, it won't be because, of course, our mentality is really good at the minute. If you look at our form, we're not winning games. We're not scoring many goals, but we're grinding results out, and we're grinding results out against tough teams. And I just think that makes us a really difficult proposition for anybody. Like, it doesn't matter who we're playing against. David Moyes and Everton will be having the exact same conversations ahead of the weekend. You know what I mean? They'll be looking at us and going, in a cup tie, Sunderland are a horrible team to play against. So it doesn't seem to matter who we play against. We're going to be awful to play against. I think that's pretty much it, you know. And you've got to look at the Spurs game and think there were times there where we were not very good. But yet Tottenham, the best they could do was score a scruffy goal from a corner. And it was a scruffy goal. It wasn't anything like our goal. Our goal was a sublime piece of football and quality. Spurs were reduced to just that. And I don't think we played very well in that first half. But it shows that even when we're not playing particularly well, we're solid still. And that's always my fallback with this team. It doesn't matter how well we're playing, how bad we're playing. The fundamentals are there. We work hard. We are solid at the back. we've got players who understand their role in the team, and if that's if the best we can do is get a point, who cares? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who we play against. That is the mentality.
Well, we must be so frustrating to play against, Gav, for those reasons you've mentioned there. I mean, you just cannot shake Sunderland off at the moment. We're one of the best teams in the Premier League for coming from behind to get points. I think we're one of the best teams for scoring goals in added time. And this is whilst playing at the moment with one hand tied behind our back because of the number of absences. So yeah, opposition managers and players must just be thinking, bloody hell, what have we got to do to beat these? We're like, I don't know, like the Terminator or something, man. We'd just keep coming back and responding well to setbacks. How on earth at the moment do you set yourselves up to go against Sunderland? Like you say, it's David Moyes' problem at the weekend. It's Keith Andrews' problem tonight. You look at Sunderland and say, well, okay, set pieces are a danger from them, so we'll set up to mark them up well in set pieces. But then, like you say, against Spurs, we go and score a brilliant goal in open play. So you've also got to be wary of that. No matter what you think of Sunderland, they're capable of doing things a different way and presenting a different problem. We've even had managers this season say, I wasn't expecting Sunderland to line up like that tactically. So we're giving opposition real headaches, and we know that if a certain plan isn't suitable, we can just mix it up, and that's a really nice situation to be in, I would say.
Yeah. Look, I'm just buzzing for this one again. I always am. You're like me, pair of optimists. So anybody listening to this looking for a negative angle on anything really are going to be sorely disappointed. You have joined the Happy Clapper podcast today when me and Andrew's on. But look, I'm really optimistic. I think we've got to add to the amount of games we've won away from home eventually. I know this is a tough one to go into, but look, we've not been amazing, I would say, away from home. I think we've very clearly got this strategy of when we're at home, that's where we really go for it. Away from home, we just don't leave gaps. We try not to get beat. Sometimes it's good enough. Chelsea away, you nick a late winner, brilliant. Forest away, that header from Alderete it was one moment in a game where nothing much really happened. If we're going to win, it's going to be something like that. But the important thing is we go there and we get the fundamentals right. Like I say, after 4 draws, though, is it about time we won a game, or are you not that bothered? Would you just be happy? Because we always say, don't we, point on the road is still a good point. Is this still a good point if we get one?
I would say so. You're dead right, Gav, mate. I'm a happy clapper. So I would be more than happy with 90 minutes of utter dross and us sneaking a clean sheet and a 0-0. I would take that all day long. Yeah, it would be nice to get back to winning ways again. But looking slightly further ahead, I think there's more presentable opportunities for that coming along in January. I think Brentford are a really tough proposition. You've said they're good at home, and you're dead right that they're fantastic at home. And whilst we
wins from 10 at home, by the way, that's really impressive. Yeah,
it's fantastic, and I dare say a couple of them will be against stronger sides. It won't just be the
Villa, Man United. They beat Liverpool 3-2.
Yeah.
They beat Newcastle 3-1. They beat Burnley 3-1, and beat Bournemouth 4-1. So yeah.
Well, and as well, a couple of those scorelines there are pretty hefty. It's not like they're just grabbing a 1-0 and protecting it. I think, are we now on a run of only 1 goal conceded in 3 away games? I think that might be right.
So we conceded 1 at Tottenham. We conceded none at Brighton. 3 at Man City.
Lord. I've gone and given us an extra clean sheet somewhere. But the point I was going to say is we know we can be pretty solid away from home and keep a team out, Man City notwithstanding. But yeah, Bournemouth have got that capability of tearing teams apart. So we need to be wary against that. And
When we're playing
yeah,
Bournemouth, like?
eh?
When we're playing Bournemouth, like?
Oh, have I said Bournemouth? Well, no, my point. Well, it does prove my point, though. It does prove my point. I've not done too
Sell out
bad.
that one.
I've not done too bad. We've got to nearly 20 minutes without us dropping myself in it. But yeah, I think games coming up. I think we've got a trip to Bournemouth. I think we've got Crystal Palace at home. Whilst they're not gimmies, they're the type of game where there'd perhaps be more question marks if we didn't win. A draw again, even though it makes it, what would that be? You've got us worried now, Gav. Would that be 5 draws in a row?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
I think we could still view that as pretty good going.
Yeah. Well, we're on the 30-point mark now. So, and you said it last week, and I think you're right. Whilst the club's target is 40 points before they start to breathe a little bit, if we didn't win another game, we'd be all right. We'd be fine. So I think they know that. The group know that. And that means that this is an opportunity to kick on. And yeah, this is a really, really good game, I think, ahead of a cup tie at the weekend to get some points on the board, because you don't really want to be going into Everton having lost. I think that would, it would deflate you slightly, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be quite as nice. So, if we can get a point or 3 points on the board, if we can go to Brentford, just give them a good game, we'll be over the moon. But we'll come back after the break. We'll talk about team news and injuries and whatever else is going on, and yeah, we'll give our predictions. Although I think people might have kind of guessed what kind of direction we're going in, Andrew. So we'll see you all after the break.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So our orders get all backed up. We're drowning in paperwork, then actually drowning. Carol is fighting off sharks with a stapler, and pirates are pillaging the office copier, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant goes beyond the resume, using unique insights to deliver a smarter shortlist. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Sports Social Podcast Network, the biggest voices in sport. Let's take a look at some of the lineup. Big Kick Energy.
Well, I was doing a Zoom gig and somebody got up and went and made a cup of tea, and I just heard them go, not for me.
Late Breaking.
Verstappen has more sprint wins than Leclerc has regular wins.
Wisden Cricket Weekly.
Draw rounder. Tough, really close between Stokes and Flintoff, but I went Stokes. The whole package, I think, beats Flintoff.
All on Europe's biggest sport podcast network. Find your next favourite sport podcast. Search Sports Social Podcast Network and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Verified comparison at content.sport-social.co.uk/comparison.
Welcome back to How Are the Podcast, sponsored by LiveScoreBet. And before the break there, we were just chatting about how confident we are going into this one, which might seem a little bit bizarre if you do look at Sunderland's recent away results, because we haven't actually won an away game since we beat Chelsea in October, but still, we are confident because we've picked up points away from home. Look, we've went to Anfield and got a point. We took a point off Brighton. We took a point off Tottenham. So, it might seem like a long time since we won, but there's also been a bunch of international breaks in amongst all of that. We've had quite a lot of home games, so it's not like we've had loads and loads of away games, but we are keen to see Sunderland get back to winning ways. But before we get into predictions and things like that, Andrew, team news. Now, we know that as of recording, Ronaldo's team, Mozambique, they were battered in the Ivory Cup of Nations. There you go. I got to 20 minutes, Andrew, and made a mistake, so I wasn't too far behind you. The African Cup of Nations, and they didn't even play Ivory Coast. They played Senegal, Habib Diarra's team, I think. Or did they? Oh, no, they played Nigeria. Right.
Oh, no.
Anyways, right, 2-1 to me. So, yeah, I'll start a bit again. Mozambique lost 4-0 to Nigeria, which means they're out. As of recording, DR Congo and Burkina Faso haven't played yet. But when people listen to this, they'll know whether they've gone out or not. And we're kind of hoping they both lose, although I'm sure Noah Siddiqui and Bertrand Traoré wouldn't thank us for that. But it's too early for any of those players anyways to make a return against Brentford. Even if we got Ronaldo back on the plane that night to England, it would have been a stretch to expect him to be ready to play here against Brentford. Although you never know, he might be on the bench in case he's desperately needed. But we are working with a small squad. Régis Lebris in his pre-match press conference talked about how Wilson Isidore would undergo a late fitness test. Hopefully he comes through that, but regardless, if a player's needing a late fitness test to make the squad, he ain't starting as the Andrews, so we can probably write off Wilson Isidore coming into the team. But last time out against Tottenham, the team was Robin Roofs, Dennis Serkin, Omar Alderete, Nordi Mukiele, Trey Hume, Lucharel Hertrauda, Granit Xhaka, Simon Adingra, Enzo Lefebvre, Eliza Mayenda, and Brian Broby. On the bench, we had Ballard, Rig, Mundell. They're probably the only players who would be in contention for a start, I would say. So we're virtually working with the same group, aren't we? Yeah, we've got probably 13 out. Realistically, we're not counting 09 here. The players like that too aren't going to come in. So realistically, we're working with about 13 outfield players where we are down to the bare bones. But it would be a lot to ask that same group to play 3 games in a week, I think. So what you thinking? Is he going to just go for it with the same group of players? Is he going to make changes? Do we kind of just breathe after this one and then go into Everton with a weaker team? I don't know what he's going to do.
It's really, really difficult to know. And like you say, even as and when players drop out of AFCON, there's no guarantee that they're going to be in the right frame of mind to come straight back into the team. I mean, the practicalities of it, they're going to be landing in a country which is just absolutely freezing cold at the moment. They'll probably not...
Did you see that about Brentford's training ground? They've not been training because it's all frozen.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yes,
okay.
They've done some light work and stuff, which is, to be fair, they only played a few days ago, so yeah. I can't imagine there would have been any intense training anyways, but it shows you, though, that their training ground can't withstand the temperatures.
Yeah. But, well, certainly players are not going to thank you for being dropped back into that environment. And you don't know what their training and fitness was like when they were away from the club. They might have been doing things differently to how Lebris wants them to do when they're under his watch. So you're right, we are down to the bare bones in terms of numbers. I think quality-wise we're still okay, but I really don't know what you would do for the best. It was quite interesting in what Lebris said in that press conference about players do feel tired, but they want to play. That's really important. I think players, when they get inside their own head and are worried that they're going to pick up niggles, that's when you do pick up niggles. But if they're all focused still and raring to go, that's massive for us. Another thing I think that is really going to go in our favour, there was twice against Tottenham at the end, wasn't there, Gav, where it kicked off and all the Sunderland players were getting involved, backing each other up. I mean, there's some big lads in that team. I would not want to be getting into an argument with any of them, not least when they're all as one. But again, that just shows to me that these players are fully committed and feel fully part of the team and want to do well for themselves and battle for the shirt. So if we do stick with the same 11, I think they will put those feelings of tiredness to the back of the head and play as if they've just come off a nice fortnight's holiday or something. Mm-hmm. I really think they'll give it their all no matter what. I think, given how we came back strongly against Spurs and finished the game arguably the better and with a little bit more in the tank than them, I think maybe I would probably do see minimal changes to the starting 11.
Well, Régis Lebris was actually asked about whether he had any concerns about the amount of game time that the players had and the fact he can't rotate and stuff. In typical Régis Lebris, he kind of just shrugged it off. He said, this is a period where we need every player in the squad. We have an honest group and they want to play every minute. we're on a good run with a high level of consistency, and that's important. I mentioned this on the pod we did the other day. I was saying, when you're winning games or you're playing well and you're picking up points. I know we haven't won in a while, but when you're picking up points and you're coming from behind to get points like we did at Spurs, and you put in a performance like you did against Man City, the team's confident, the group's confident. They all understand that if their levels drop, as soon as there's an opportunity, they'll lose their place in the team. Dennis Certain can't afford to lose his place when Ronaldo comes back. So you're going to see him giving 110%. I know Ballard's been injured, but the lads at the back, I would probably say Trey Hume and Lutzerel Hertrauda are the two who would probably have to look over their shoulders a bit because we shuffle things around. But with Ballard sitting on the bench, Ronaldo coming back, those lads know that, and they're not going to want to miss a minute. Granit Xhaka is the biggest professional that we've probably ever had at the club, and regardless of his age and the amount of games he's played this week and any knocks he's suffering, he understands his role that this team can't do without him, and he has to be available and fit. You go right through the team, couldn't you? Enzo knows that with Diarra and Siddiqui coming back, he might get shunted out on the left, and if he plays out his skin in the 10 position or in centre midfield, he's going to make it tough for Reggie to drop him. Mayenda on the right knows that Traore could be coming back any minute, and if he goes out there against Brentford tonight and he scores a goal or two, he ain't getting dropped for the weekend or the game after that. He's going to keep his place. So that to me is a bigger motivator, and a thing that kind of players will look beyond the tiredness. They will look beyond the fact we've played 3 games in a week. Look, against Tottenham, we did look leggy at the start, but it can't be an excuse because these lads know if they are on it, they'll keep their place in the team, and that's it, really. They don't care about the frequency of games, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, exactly. And also, it's not as if we're playing a team who have just had a bit of a break. So
yeah,
not the Bournemouth players, the Brentford players will be having similar conversations and thinking about how they keep themselves fresh. But yeah, this is why I'm kind of caught between two minds, because if you do want to make changes, regardless of what you've got available on the bench, who in the starting 11 deserves to come out of the team at the moment? I don't know. Yeah. And would those changes make the team any better? I mean, Ballard perhaps fancies his chances of coming into the team, and Chris Rigg, there might be an argument for starting him if Lebris wants to go a bit more solid and a little bit more defensive. But I don't know if they would have such an impact on the starting 11 that it would take us from I don't think it would make it any different. It would probably still leave us with the same chances of getting a result, in my opinion. So, yeah, unless Lebris has played his cards close to his chest, which is entirely possible. I mean, he never gives anything away. Maybe behind the scenes there is somebody who's feeling a strain and doesn't want to risk it. But unless there's anything like that we don't know about, I'd probably just fall down on that side of leaving things as they are.
I think Ballard will come in, I do. I think I don't know who for, but I just think with that big striker up front who's putting the ball away, it's a good game to bring Ballard back in for. He got on the pitch against Spurs, but he didn't play a full game. I know he's had a bit of a knock there. But I think they'll be really keen to get him back onto the pitch. And I think when you consider that set plays and them long throws have become such a big feature of our game, I just think we need to get him into the team somehow. But it's a case of where do you put him, isn't it? Because, it's going to be tough to drop anyone, to be fair. If anyone's getting dropped, and unfortunately for him, I think it'll probably be Sirkin at left back. And he hasn't played badly at all. He's played fine, but I think he's probably expecting Ronaldo to come back in. We have done this before where we've moved Hume over to the left. We've then had Nordy on the right. To be honest, I thought against Tottenham, we were much more threatening when we had Ballard in the middle and Nordy on the right. And I think this is a good chance to do that without upsetting the balance too much. So I can see us maybe go Marouf's in goal, of course, Hume on the left, or maybe even you could make a case of resting Trey Hume. He's played a lot of games recently. But one of Hume or Sirkin on the left, I think. Omar Alderete and Ballard as the centre halves, and then Nordy on the right hand side with that midfield three of Xhaka, Lafay, Lucherel, Getroida. It's then where I'm not sure further than that. I think Brobby starts again. He scored the last time out. We've already talked about Isidore needing a late fitness test, which even if he's going to be available, it's going to be from the bench, isn't it? But it's those other positions where I'm not sure, because I thought that we would have seen Romain Mundle start a game by now, but he hasn't. Simon Adingra's had a decent run of games, but yeah, he played okay against Leeds. Hasn't been particularly brilliant. I wouldn't say coming out of the AFCON period when we start getting players back, I wouldn't say he's nailed the place down. I think that left wing still for debate. And Mayenda on the right-hand side, he was brought off in the game. Yes, late on, but he was brought off in the game. Played okay again, but not particularly brilliant. He has played Rig on that side of the pitch. So I could see a scenario here where we go with Roofs in goal. That back four I said before. The middle three of Xhaka, Enzo and Getroida. But then I could possibly see Rig on the right-hand side for this one. And your width coming from Nordy and Rig being the man to link that up. But where's your head at? You're nodding there, but before I started talking and selling you some sand there, you tell me what you were thinking would happen.
Well, that's the problem. I don't know what I was thinking, Gav. It is really.
Oh well, we'll just end the podcast there.
Aye. Basically, I have to admit I hadn't given much thought to Hume going to left back, but that's what happened at Spurs at the weekend, and we still continue to be a threat going forward.
Yeah. I don't mind him there. At all. When we had Danny Collins on, I said to Danny, like, when Hume goes over to left back, is that not all right, given that the majority of the time you're up against a winger who plays on that side of the pitch anyway, so naturally on that side you'll have a left footer. Well, Hume's a right footer, so I always think it's not as big a deal as it used to be.
No, it's not. I think my fear was, against Man City he had a tough time, but to be honest,
that was against a very good player, wasn't it?
Yeah. And players will have their off day. I just, like you say, I'm looking at the players who started against Spurs and don't really like certainly at the back, I don't like the idea of dropping any of them. But you're dead right in that by having Hume on the left, it allows you to keep Mukiele, Alderete and Gertrude in the team whilst also introducing Ballard back. So I like your thinking there. I also agree with what you're saying in that if Mukiele is at right back but has Rig in front of him, rather than seeing Rig as a defensive option, are you making us more attacking by the fact that Mukiele is actually a pretty dangerous fullback? So I can see the thinking there. My concern about dropping Adingra is, yes, he blows hot and cold, so he will be coming in and out of the team, but he isn't at a point, I don't think, where he would be fatigued. So
no.
It like, if you're wanting to bring fresh legs in at the moment, given the circumstances, you would assume it would be for a player who's more likely to be flagging and not able to give 100%.
I think it's more tactical than that. I think if you were gonna pull strips off the Tottenham performance, particularly the first half, we didn't keep the ball well enough. So I'm thinking, given Brentford's record at home recently, in particular, they've scored a lot of goals at home. They've went out against teams and they've hit them early in games and they've scored quite a lot of goals. Obviously, we're a lot more defensively solid than your usual team, right? But you look at that game against Bournemouth, they got an early goal and it killed the game, and then they got another before half time, and then, when you're 2-0 down, it's very tough, isn't it? And Bournemouth just didn't recover. And I'm just thinking it might be more the case that we start a little bit more defensive and then have that option off the bench of Mayenda. So I would keep Adingra in the team by proxy, actually. I don't think Mundle at the minute is a better option. I think you probably get more from Mundle later in games. I thought Tottenham, he did pretty well, actually. He was all right when he came on. But for me, it would be more a case of, do we need to keep the ball better, particularly when we're fatigued? You don't want to be running loads. You don't want to be lumping it forward, then it coming straight back. You know, Riggs not played a lot recently. If you can get a decent hour, 65 minutes out of Chris Rigg, where we just hold on to the ball a little bit better. And to be honest, that's his strength. Rigg is a good player in possession. I just think that might be the game plan, because I think we talked about it before. Reggie sizes his opponents up and picks a team around that. Is it really the right game for Eliza Mayenda to play in? I'm not too sure. From the start, anyways, I quite like the option of, let's say this is the game plan, you know, keep them out, get into half-time, it's maybe 0-0. After the break, have a fast start of the second half, as we usually do. If we get a goal, great. If not, then it's fine. Then later in the game, we're more than likely going to be in it, because we always are. Then you look at the bench and Mayenda's there and Mundle's there. And then you bring off your Riggs and maybe a Dingras in them situations. And that's the way you maybe win the game. So that's I'm always at the now, rather than, if it was me, you know, I would be going out there and picking the most attacking team. But I don't think Reggie thinks like that. I think he's a little bit more pragmatic, and he looks at it and thinks, yeah, last time out we looked leggy at times. We probably need to try and keep the ball when we do have it.
Yeah, Gav, you're making a lot of sense there. And yeah, if we're talking about making changes for tactical reasons rather than for energy reasons, then yeah, you're more likely to see one or two tweaks. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but if you keep a clean sheet, you're guaranteed a point. So yeah, going attacking isn't necessarily the right way to go, given all of the other factors at play here. And Rigg certainly does give you that platform, which ties in with how Sunderland have played all season, no matter who's been available. We always like to keep it steady at first and then grow into the game and start moving up through the gears. So you probably have plugged into the type of thinking that Labris is making, and I would love to be able to find a reason to pull your arguments apart, but I can't. The only caveat I would say is you never know exactly what he's thinking. There's always the room for some sort of bolt from the blue to happen. And when that team sheet does come out tonight, we could all just be left there shaking our heads thinking, wow, did not see that one coming.
Yeah, Leo Helder up front or something. Go on then, mate. Give us your thoughts, predictions for what you think's going to happen. Like I said, we've been pretty positive today, as we always are. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't think we lose. I think we continue to see just that real grit, and just we seem incapable of giving up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just in every game, whenever we need to, we seem to find more energy. We find more at the bottom of the well to keep us going. So yeah, Brentford are quite dangerous, and I take the point that if they score early, it might make things different, and that's when the fatigue might really start to hit. But if we can keep them out, it's the old cliche, make them frustrated, make the crowd, feel a bit wound up, I can see us getting another 1-goal win away from home, and just boosting that away record and giving us a few extra points.
Well, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? I'm going with another draw.
Okay.
But am I? Nah, sorry, I'm going with a win. I'm going with a 1-0.
Get in.
There we go.
Get in.
1-0. I fancy Brobby to get another one. Do you know what? That's one thing we haven't had from this season is like Isidore scored a few early in the season, but like I want to see Brobby now. He's had that first 90 minutes. His goal was superb. Like it wasn't a in off his arse type jobby, was it? It was a brilliant 1-2 with Enzo. He lashes it home with his left foot. He's obviously a confidence player, because you look at Ajax when he was banging them in. he went on a hot streak. And I know that was in the Eredivisie where it's a little bit easier, but still, you know, he's clearly a player who, when he's got confidence, is difficult to stop. And I just think he's been playing well recently, so I'll go with another Brobby goal, or Broby, as it should be said. And 1-0. I was going to go with a 0-0. I'm going with a 1-0. I'm going to cover all angles. We might lose as well.
Well, you've convinced me about the starting 11. I've convinced you we're going to win it. So between us, we've kept the mood up. I think the fact that Broby's now played 90 minutes is going to be massive. I think we'll see him take another step forward now. But I don't know if you saw the interview he had on after the game when he watched back his goal. That lad just looked so casual about it all. You know, he wasn't hyper or anything. He was just so matter of fact about this brilliant goal he'd scored. I quite like that attitude. I liked how he's taking it all in his stride. And yeah, if he's now going to hit a bit of a goal scoring streak, then all the better for us.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we are right, mate. Thank you very much. Been great.
Aye, yeah, brilliant. As always, thanks for having us on. I've loved it.
Yeah, and thank you very much to our listeners. If you haven't already headed over to rotoreport.sbnation.com, you can catch all the written previews over there. Chris's matchday preview, the score predictions from the lads. That's a bit of a competition if you haven't ever caught that. Martin's starting 11 prediction, the on this day, all the other good stuff that comes on a match day. So head over there. And of course, after the game will be not Andrew, but Andy's player ratings. Not going to tar you with that one, Andrew, in case you give a bad one and people start coming for you. It's not you who writes those, it's somebody else. But Andy's player ratings over on the website after the game. Of course, after the game as well, we will have a reaction pod, which will be a very late one, but it will be out after the game. Martin will be joined by you, Andrew, and of course, Mike Dunn, our favourite Irishman, Mike Dunn, will be on after the game. And then the day after, very early in the morning, I'm up recording with Matty Hewitt and I think Ant. So we've got Matty Hewitt from the Chronicle joining us. So loads to come in the coming days. After that, we've got Everton stuff as well. We are here every single day on How We Are the Podcast. So if you're not already subscribed, get subscribed. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Sports Social Podcast Network, the biggest voices in sport. Let's take a look at some of the lineup. Big Kick Energy.
Well, I was doing a Zoom gig and somebody got up and went and made a cup of tea and I just heard them go, not for me.
Late Breaking.
Verstappen has more sprint wins than Leclerc has regular wins.
Wisden Cricket Weekly.
Draw rounder. Tough, really close between Stokes and Flintoff, but I went Stokes. The whole package, I think, beats Flintoff.
All on Europe's biggest sport podcast network. Find your next favourite sport podcast. Search Sports Social Podcast Network and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Verified comparison at content.sport-social.co.uk/comparison.